What are you looking at? What's the most pressing thing right now?
Yeah, dude, I think it all comes back to, and sometimes people overblow this issue, but I don't think it can be overstated given what we've seen the past couple of years. And that is the racialization of the country. And what I mean by that is you see it from the top down when you have President Biden saying he's only going to elect a black woman to the Supreme Court, which is exactly what he did with the vice president. And that just had a trickle down effect. I mean, Dan, you came from ESPN. I mean, this is a place that openly tells agents and talents that they're going to promote based on skin color and gender. And that is something that's happening all across corporate America. And people are afraid to say it because they don't want to be labeled a racist because then they won't qualify for any job. But that is something that I find so disheartening because we are becoming a more racist society by trying to fight perceived racism with overt racism. It's all over the place, whether it's Hollywood, sports. You turn on NFL pregame shows, it's more about race and out of context allegations than it is even about sports. You turn on a show on Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, it's mostly pandering about how racist some groups are. We're becoming a society that is dividing everybody by skin color. I always use the analogy. 10 years ago, we would see John go to the market and say, hey, John just went to the grocery store. But now it's John, who is a white guy, who's a conservative, who works in construction, went to the grocery store. We use all these qualifiers to try to divide society, and it's really put everybody in a group of oppressed and oppressors. However, that's not true, Dan, because very few people are actually oppressed in today's society. It's all a lie to help one side of the political spectrum try to conquer more power.
Bobby, my wife is an Olympic alternate in softball, an All-American, winning as coach ever at Bowling Green State University, winning as coach ever at Syracuse. She's watching the Olympics and the Summer Olympics. Girl hits a home run. And instead of it being about sports, to your point, they identified her as LGBTQ, and that was on the broadcast, literally on the broadcast. Instead of just celebrating women's sports, we had to go with their sexual orientation. And how do you feel about this? Last week it was ESPN, we're having an all-woman crew. Now we're having an all-black NFL crew. Do you think ESPN purposely divides to draw attention to themselves and to get viewers? Do they purposely try to divide us?
I don't think they're trying to divide. I think they're cowards. I've reported this on several occasions. I mean, there's a long backstory here, but I mean, following the events of George Floyd, ESPN felt pressure from Disney to really become more diverse, whatever that means. I don't think ESPN is actually all that diverse if you look at their recent programming. But what's going on in places like that is it's mostly white executives fearful that they're going to be next, that the vultures are going to come after them next, that the New York Times is going to come after them like they threatened to do with Norby Williamson, who you probably know a couple of years ago. ESPN networks like that are trying to prove they're not racist, that they're not sexist. So by doing that, you have shows like First Take, The Jump, that are almost 100% black. That way people like Jimmy Pitaro can point to and say, hey, you guys can't call me racist. Look at these programs I'm putting on TV. So it's less about ESPN trying to divide than people at the top trying to protect themselves because they know that one day they're going to be subject to one of these hit pieces because, quite frankly, everybody of any sort of power is eventually.
No, there's no question. What's going on with Howard Stern?
Yeah, this is one of the more fascinating stories, not just in media, but in culture. I mean, this is a guy that the greatest radio broadcaster ever. I mean, right there with Rush Limbaugh, really a maverick, someone who never followed the rules, but really set his own rules. And he has become such a shill for corporations and the establishment and even politicians. Howard Stern's case study is what fears me about Joe Rogan when you see Rogan go on his Periscope and Instagram and apologize repeatedly for stuff that, the left is unfairly coming at him from. Because I think you look at Howard Stern, as he made more and more money, starting to make $100 million a year, I think he became fearful that he was going to lose all that. And he tried to start to appease those trying to bring him down. I always say money doesn't make you braver. It makes you weaker because you have more to lose. The richer Howard Stern got, I believe the more cognizant he got of those that were coming after him. That's why I hope that Rogan doesn't take that same approach, because you turn on Howard Stern, he's almost unrecognizable, talking about people should be arrested for not getting the vaccine. People should be exiled from the country for not getting the boosters. I mean, it's some wild stuff that this guy's pushing. And really, he's more of an extension of the corporate press now than he is a disruptor, which is what he made his name decades ago doing.
Do you think he's afraid that people will start going back on him if he doesn't do this?
Oh, absolutely.
Meaning start doing what they did to Joe Rogan. Okay, go ahead.
Absolutely. I mean, I thought you had that going on during the Super Bowl halftime show. It's like, why does Eminem feel the need to kneel? Well, you go back and look at Eminem's early days, and I'm an Eminem fan. I mean, he has to make up for his homophobic lyrics from the early 2000s. Like when I spoke to Megyn Kelly at Outkick this September, I thought she put it best. These people are trying to insert so many woke chips into the bank that they can eventually inherit a get out of jail free card. So I think someone like Howard Stern's thinking, hey, if I go after Trump, if I go after Rogan, if I call for Aaron Rodgers to never have a platform again, that's more evidence that I'm not the guy that I once was. I think everybody with a past that they're afraid of is trying to make up for it now. I mean, I always say cancel culture, wokeness, whatever you want to call it, is a product of people who are ashamed or afraid of their own past.